It is starting to get seriously cold outside, which is a huge challenge for me and my gas blowback specific channel. Bringing out the KWA MP9, which is an overall loved SMG on the airsoft market right now, and it's been around for so long, it's still super respected. We may have a solution for that. These mags always jam though, I don't know why. There we go. And with that comes the HPA tank and line, because this is essential so we can run what was sent to me by Tap Airsoft, the MP9 shotgun shell adapter, which is super goofy, but super useful. If you don't know already, this is just a brief explanation. HPA is just pressurized air, which means it has no problem like green gas or propane running in colder climates, and you don't have to spend extra money to pick up black gas or red gas. You can just run HPA. HPA is also a ton cheaper. You could fill these up at your local stations for give or take $5. And then if you want, you can also spend like $150 and get yourself a pump that will just pump it for you at home or from your car. So you never have to actually pay anyone to fill this guy up because it's just filling up with air. And like I said, the air is gas efficient in the cold. The air is gas efficient in the warmth. The air is also consistent because the reservoir is large. So even when firing tons of mags downrange, you aren't losing pressure because there's so much pressure inside of the tank. Whereas with these guys, you're going to have a serious FPS drop off as you start to lower the capacity of the gas in the mag or inside the reservoir. Now, what's really cool is these will allow you to run something tiny. The KWA MP9 mags are heavy, they're long, they're realistic, which I personally really like, but they do have their drawbacks. Again, they are super heavy. These things are like a brick. And for some reason, it's pretty consistent that with the feed ramps or the feed tubes of the BBs, they sometimes get stuck on the way feeding. I don't really understand the reason for that. Maybe it's just a channel design, or maybe the little follower is not applying pressure to the BBs the way that it should be. I'm not 100% sure, but they do work and they have a solid gas reservoir, but they do hold 48 rounds. These little guys hold 30. There is 30 inside of these. So if you don't mind looking goofy and loading your mags with these, you can hold, I mean, probably 15 of these by the time you get up to the same weight as this thing. It's a lot of ammo. Now, the elephant in the room, all these TAPP adapters are 3D printed, but I will say they are super solid. As long as you don't drop anything heavy on top of them on the ground, you should be just fine. They're not going to wear down, and they're going to last. Also, the entirety of this thing looks just like the KWA MP9 mag. Up at the top, the router, the feed lips, and the gas outlet valve. Obviously it's supposed to, but as we get to the bottom, things start to change because this is where you're going to load your new rounds. Something crucial to note with the TAPP adapters is they all work off of BB displacement method, which means when you put in the first initial mag or the shell, for example, into the mag, it is going to feed some BBs up into this channel like a feed ramp. What this does is it replaces some of the BBs inside of here into here so it can run smoothly and get the BBs from the bottom all the way up to the feed lips. Now, the first mag, if we use 30 and this takes, let's say, 8, you're only going to have 22 to shoot, but by the time you load the next 30, it will replace these. Let's say there's 8 in there. I don't know how many are in there at all, but let's say there's 8 in there. You'll have 30 by the second mag. So keep in mind, you might want to just fill this guy up and then take it out, load it again, and then fill it back in. Some cool features when you take the shell and you place it in, you're going to notice obviously the BB displacement method first. It's going to just spring them all up to the top. It's a little bit tough at first, which is good. We like a nice solid fit. And it's loaded, ready to go, locked in place by this little mechanism. This gold piece, this prong, is your ejection. So when you release the shell, pressing this button, it's actually going to shoot the shell back out at you, so you don't have to get in there with your fingers and pry at it. So you'll take a look like this. See that? And if it's pointing downwards, obviously it'll pop back out at you. If you notice, 1 and 2 of the BBs pop out, but there's still BBs up inside of this reservoir. So now when you go ahead and load the next shell, you'll have the full 30 rounds of each of the shot shells. Now, first of all, it's really important to see how these guys index, because we want to make sure that it's not super wobbly, it's not going to chew up our nozzle, and we're going to have a good gas router to nozzle connection. So we're going to take our standard mag that comes with it, and we'll take a look. As for up and down motion, there is minimal. Forward and backwards, there's a little movement, and then side to side about the same. KWAX did a really solid job with these things, and they do have a solid gas seal, so that's nice to see. Let's take a look at the TAPP adapter here and see if it's any bit the same. That sits in nice and snug. Up and down, there's more movement than the stock mag. Forward and backwards, there's actually less. And then side to side, there's even less. So that up and down motion is a little odd. Hopefully that doesn't cause any feeding problems. Usually the up and down is one of the ones that causes most of that, as far as I'm aware, but we're gonna run it as is anyway. One thing that is also important to note, TAPP recommends that we start with the hammer in the fire or ready position. I like to just keep it safe and start with the bolt open before we index our HPA line. Otherwise, it's going to shoot a seriously hard burst of air initially through the replica, and it could cause it to fire. It could cause damage to the internals. Usually it doesn't, but you could accidentally fire rounds at a player who isn't ready for it and shoot someone in the staging area, so don't do that. Let's activate our air, and we'll get this guy running up to 120 PSI, which should be where it's preset at. They recommend between, I think it was 80 and 120. We're gonna run it at 120. And now it's time to throw our line into the adapter, obviously with that bolt open or the hammer already preset. And we are locked in. There's no leaks, no nothing. Let's throw a little shot shell in, shall we? We'll take our first one, toss it in place, locks in nice and solid, and it's not going anywhere. And it's the export button or the eject button is super hidden back there, so you're not going to really accidentally hit that, actually. So that's really nice. Bolt closes just fine. And let's see. We'll start on semi. 3, 2, 1. Feeds just fine. Are we already out of rounds? Maybe. Yeah, we are already out of rounds. One thing to keep in mind, right, with these is since there's no stop on empty function inside of this adapter or inside of these, it's just going to keep firing when you're out. That is one downside to the adapters. I wish there was something else you could do about that. I don't know. I don't make them. Let's see how it functions on auto. I maybe just didn't fill that one with ammo all the way. So we'll switch this guy into full auto and see if it can handle that as well. We shouldn't have to rack the bolt at all. It should just be ready to roll now. It's just consistent. That works great. And then again, pew, it shoots out your shells. Just be careful, don't lose them. I'd honestly probably just carry a dump pouch for them if you want. And then you could even throw them on a sash, which is even cooler. Now that you guys are back to the MP9, and we should be ready to roll, we're just going to throw another shell in place. That one's got rounds in it. It's a little tough with the line being here when we go to index the shells, just because the line's like sort of in the way. I almost wish the line was coming out the back, but there's really nothing you could do about that. And we are back in semi. Let's just mess around. Make sure it's consistent and doesn't fail on us. Consistent and doesn't fail on us. I don't know what the problem is we're having here. Is that maybe it's just the shell? There we go. No. This BB's going up into the ramp. Huh. Interesting. Maybe it's just not activating that shell. Let me try another one of these SEMA shells. Right? These are these are the SEMA ones. The Jag Arms ones always seem to work the best for me. Yeah, I don't know. Let me fill the Jag Arms one again. All right, so Jag Arms show going in. Let's see if that one has better feeding capabilities. Are we out? I blew through those quick. I'm trying to figure out what the issue was. I think, honestly, these SEMA shells are just old. These have come secondhand. I've left these loaded sometimes for prolonged periods of time because I just didn't use them. They are just old, because this one is also a SEMA shell that I actually ripped one of the wrappers off, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they're the exact same. I ripped one of the wrappers off of it, and it fed just fine. So I think these two are just the The springs are a little bit weaker, so it's hard to keep the BBs fed up to the top. But the JagArms shells I've always loved. I've had a great time with these. I actually really like the way they look. And if you have newer SEMA shells that you haven't left... Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is Tokyo Marui. I don't know. Yeah, I genuinely think these are just old. They should work with all of them. These are all universal, I believe. Yeah. So basically, it's very rare a product from TAPP shows up at my house and it doesn't work. Tap Airsoft does a phenomenal job, and these things, they're a workhorse, and they are designed super nicely. They look nice, sleek, and clean. I believe you can get all their stuff Cerakoted too, so if you want to make it match the replica, you can get it in black. You can get some cool colors like red and stuff like that too. So definitely check these out if you're into them. Super cool, and it's going to help a lot with content and shorts and things like that, and obviously gameplay when I'm running some GBBs in the colder weather, because we're entering the fall now. It's getting down to like 50 degrees some of these days, so green gas is only going to last so long, unfortunately. Thanks, Tap Airsoft. Thanks for the adapter. Love this KWA. It is such a blast, and I will catch you guys on the next adventure. Peace.